One image, one message, one moment that hits your mind and reshapes your day. This is One Frame Style. There is a moment when no one can lie for you. Not in front of others, not on social media, not when you say your goals out loud. The real moment comes when you are alone, when the alarm goes off and your body feels heavy, when you need to start and you find 1,000 excuses, when you know what you should do, but a part of you keeps looking for an emergency exit. And that is when you discover who is really in control. Not what you say, not what you dream about, not what you promise, but what you do when no one is clapping for you. Because a strong mind is not built on easy days. It is built when comfort calls your name and you still choose the harder road. Most people do not lose because they lack talent. They lose because they surrender to the first command of their own instinct. Rest. Put it off. Not today. Now is not the time. You are not ready. But listen carefully. Your instinct wants to protect you. Your future wants to transform you. And often, those two voices are not moving in the same direction. Inside of you, there is a control room. Every day, someone makes decisions in there. Sometimes it is you. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is laziness. Sometimes it is the desperate need to feel safe. And every time you let the weakest part of you decide, that part becomes stronger. It does not happen all at once. No one destroys their life in a single moment. It happens slowly. One skipped workout, one broken promise, one avoided phone call, one unread page, one delayed project, one truth you did not have the courage to face. And then one day, you wake up and ask yourself, how did I get here? You got there through small, invisible decisions. The life you have today is often the result of all the times you chose instant relief over self-respect. And that is the part that hurts. Because you cannot build a strong mind while constantly running away from discomfort. You cannot become disciplined if you treat every difficulty like a signal to stop. You cannot expect self-confidence if every day you prove to your mind that your word means nothing. Confidence does not come because you repeat positive phrases. Confidence comes when you start keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say, I will do it, and you do it, even badly, even a little, even without motivation, even with shaking hands. Because the mind watches everything. It watches when you quit. It watches when you stay. It watches when you choose the easy way. It watches when you remain standing, even when you are tired inside. And then it builds an identity. If you keep giving in, you will begin to see yourself as someone who gives in. But if you keep showing up, even on the bad days, even on the gray days, even when you feel no fire inside, you will begin to see yourself as someone reliable. And a reliable person becomes dangerous. Dangerous to excuses. Dangerous to fear. Dangerous to the old version of themselves. So stop looking for an easier life. Start building a better trained mind. Because life will not always lower the weight for you. It will not make every road smoother. It will not remove every problem before you arrive. Sometimes life will put a heavy door in front of you and give you no key. You will have to become the strength capable of opening it. That is the point. You do not need to wait until you feel invincible. You need to start acting like someone who does not abandon themselves. Create one simple rule. When you know what the right thing is, do not open a negotiation. Do not negotiate with laziness. Do not hold meetings with fear. Do not ask permission from the old version of you. Act. Small, but act. Slow, but act. Imperfect, but act. Because action is the language the mind respects. not intentions, not fantasies, not perfect plans written in a notebook and never lived. Action. You want a stronger mind? Choose one difficult thing every day and do it. Not to punish yourself, not to prove something to others, but to teach your nervous system that discomfort is not an enemy. It is a gym. Every time you stay in the struggle without running, you are expanding your limit. Every time you do what you promised, you are building inner authority. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you are voting for a new identity. And you do not need to change everything overnight. Great transformations rarely enter screaming. They often begin in silence. One morning when you get up anyway. One evening when you do not betray your plan. One moment when you are about to fall into the old pattern, but you stop, breathe, and choose differently. That is power. Not loud power, not the kind you show off. Real power, the kind no one sees while it is being born, but one day everyone feels when you walk into a room. Because you are no longer the same person. You walk differently, you speak differently, you choose differently. Not because life became simple, but because you became stronger. A strong mind is not rigid, it is stable. It does not break with the first gust of wind. It does not change direction with every emotion. It does not hand its destiny over to the mood of the day. A strong mind feels fear, but does not give it the steering wheel. It feels exhaustion, but does not hand it the calendar. It feels doubt, but does not allow it to write the ending of the story. That is what you must build. Not a life without fear. A life where fear no longer makes the decisions. Not a life without struggle. A life where struggle has meaning. Not a life without falls. A life where every fall becomes building material. One day, you will understand something. The enemy was not a lack of time. It was not a lack of talent. It was not other people's luck. It was that small distance between what you knew you had to do and what you actually chose to do. That is where your old life lived. In that space between intention and action, between promise and discipline, between dream and sacrifice. But that space can close. It can close today, not with a perfect speech, not with a new identity invented with words, with one concrete decision. Today, do one thing the old version of you would have postponed. Just one. Then tomorrow, another. Then again. And day after day, without noise, without needing approval, without waiting for the world to crown you, you will start becoming someone you no longer recognize. Calmer, stronger, more present, harder to break. And when life puts pressure on you again, because it will, you will no longer react like before. You will not run immediately. You will not give in immediately. You will not immediately tell yourself that you cannot do it. You will stop. You will breathe. And you will remember who you have become. You are not the voice that tells you to quit. You are the choice that answers. You are not the weight you feel on your shoulders. You are the strength that decides to lift it. You are not your hesitation. You are the step you take after it. And from that step forward, everything can change. Because a strong mind is not born when life becomes light. It is born when you stop asking life to be light and start becoming impossible to stop. One image, one truth. If it hit you, it was meant for you. Stay here. More truth is waiting.